Um, I actually planned to make a video about this during the time when Become the Killer Legacy was still around. But perhaps I'll still do a video about this topic. It's just now it's going to be focused on, well, obviously the Recode. Again, I was originally going to make this during Legacy back, but Recode is, out. Obviously, I'm still going to make a video talking about this, but, topics, certain things of this topic are going to be, well, worded differently. Unlike what I was going to might say in the original concept if BAK Legacy was still around, but yeah. So, for this discussion video, I'm going to be discussing if is Slenderman pay to win. So, let's go into reasons to why people would think that. Because there are people out there that think that Slenderman is pay to win. Yes, even though Slenderman did get nerfed in the Recode update, people will probably consider him pay to win still. Well, I'm here to talk about that. So, why is Slenderman, or why do people think Slenderman is pay to win? Well, let's talk about it. So, Slenderman, I'm basically going to be talking about Slenderman, like how he actually works for currently right now in the Recode. Um, so let's get started. So, Slenderman, to unlock him, you have to actually purchase a Game Pass, which means you need Robux, which means you need to buy Robux with real money to unlock Slenderman and become the killer. Now we get to his stats. He has 25 walking movement speed, I think, 400 health, making him the tankiest killer in the game. He's got two abilities. He's got his attack, which pretty much insta kills any survivor. That includes Max and Juggernauts and all that shenanigans. And he's got his other ability, which pretty much works kind of similar to how his invisible ability used to work in the Legacy version of BAK. But yeah, it's kind of like got nerfed. Like, yeah, it works the exact same, except it makes you slower now. So that ability pretty much got nerfed, but it's not called invisibility anymore. It's now called warp. Either way, warp is you can actually despite warp getting nerfed, there's a nice gimmick that you can actually do with warp. But I'll get to that in a moment. So Slenderman is slow, but he's really tanky, and he pretty much can just one shot any survivor. Um, However, there's one flaw: he cannot regenerate. Yes, his regeneration got nerfed to the ground. He can no longer regenerate now, because and Become the Killer's legacy version, the legacy BAK, Slenderman was really unkillable because he's just able to regenerate stupidly quick. Again, he was killable in Legacy as well, but it was like pretty much impossible. Because if you go against a Slenderman player that knows what they're doing, yeah, it's just pretty much impossible to kill him. Now, in Recode, because Slenderman can't regenerate health anymore, you pretty much actually have to play as him, well, the sneaky way now, which is okay, because, I did that playstyle many times where I just chill around edges of walls and such, and I wait for a survivor to come before I insta-kill them. I mean, even during the Legacy version of BAK, I tend to do that with Slenderman still. It didn't really change my playstyle how I play as him. The only thing it changed about my playstyle as him is that I can't like chase a survivor normally now. Like I can't just like chase him casually. I have to actually play sneakily now. Which again, I did that in Legacy BAK a lot. So that didn't really change. Like the only thing that changed is like, yeah, you can't like chase survivors normally now. You actually have to play as him sneakily. But yeah. But even after his nerfs, I still believe that some people might consider him pay to win. Why is that? Well, let's get into that. Slenderman is currently the only in Recode the only killer that can really one hit kill you. And not just you, just one hit kill any survivor. He can insta kill mechs, insta kill juggernauts, pretty much just one shot any survivor. Despite not being able to actually regenerate. And he's the most tankier killer in the game, which means even though he can no longer regenerate, a really good Slenderman player like myself can actually still be really bullshitly. Okay, I want to say impossible to kill now because again, you can't regenerate. Um, he is still really hard to deal with. Like, okay, if you're going as a Slenderman player that clearly doesn't know what they're doing, yes, he's pretty easy to deal with. But if you're going as a Slenderman player that knows what they're doing, he is still really hard to deal with. Like, at least he's actually, like, killable now because he can't regenerate, so it's still possible to deal with a tryhard Slenderman player. It's still hard to deal with a tryhard Slenderman player. Because, again, Slenderman can one-hit kill any survivor. So, I'm pretty sure, so pretty much the only way you can really kill Slenderman, you need, like, an entire fucking, like, army of, like, survivors attacking him all at once. That's probably, like, the best way you can really kill Slenderman. Because the enemy uses his warp to try to avoid situations like that. Again, warp makes him slower. So, yeah, Slenderman is pretty much killable now. But then again, most of the time, it's quite rare for you to ever end up in a situation like that as Slenderman anyway. Oh, and another thing about Slenderman, only one person can play as Slenderman. Yes, if one player is playing as Slenderman, sorry buddy, you're going to have to play as someone else. Now, I'm going to actually compare him to how he used to be in Legacy. And Become the Killer Legacy, he was really broken. Like, game-breakingly overpowered. I'm not saying, like, overpowered like he's just really good and really strong. No, like, he was really overpowered to the point he was extremely unhealthy for the game. Like, really unhealthy for the game during Legacy days. So, the nerfs he received for Recode is really needed. Because holy shit, the fact that it's really impossible to kill Slenderman at all in Legacy Become the Killer, it was so ridiculous. I'm actually glad, like, as someone who really loves playing as Slenderman, I'm actually fine with the fact that he got nerfed. He really needed those nerfs to begin with, because holy shit, he was just really unhealthy for the game. I'm more than glad that he actually got the balance changes he need in order to make him actually feel balanced and not frustrating to go up against, like how he was in Legacy. Because I'm going to tell you right now what he used to be like in Legacy. In Legacy, he was pretty much the same, except he can actually regenerate hell. His regeneration was stupidly overpowered. He can like regenerate to like full health in a matter of like 2 minutes or so, I think, in Legacy BAK. That's how overpowered his regeneration was. He was that overpowered. Like you can get a low HP and he can like regenerate back to full in like a couple minutes or so. He was that busted. And the invisible ability actually used to be more busted too. Because unlike in Recode, where you're actually slower when using the invisible ability, in Legacy, invisible, you still move the same walking speed. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and more than one person can actually play as Slenderman. Because in BAK Legacy, there's actually no limits to how many killers you can play as. Unlike Recode, where like there's actually a limit to how many certain characters you can play as. Because in BAK Legacy, you can go. Because in BAK Legacy, if there's like a shit ton of players that have the Slenderman Game Pass, say like you have like I don't know, maybe like 6 or 5 people that have the Slenderman Game Pass. you'd be going against like fucking 3 or 5 Slendermans at once. And it was just awful because of that scenario alone. Now, luckily, that never actually happened to me when playing Become the Killer during the Legacy era. But holy shit, could you imagine going against like 10 or 10 fucking Slendermans? Could you imagine going against 10 Slendermans? That would be awful and really unfun for the Survivor side. But hey, that would never be the case because, again, only one person can play a Slenderman now. So that's a really healthy change. Now let's go over to how Slenderman works in Recode now. Again, he is the same except he cannot regenerate. He can no longer regenerate. Um, and his invisible ability got nerfed because it makes you slower now. Those are pretty much the only 2 nerfs he really received. Oh yeah, there's also a new passive ability he has, which I guess you could say it's another nerf to him. I'm not entirely sure though. There's a gimmick to Slenderman where if a survivor actually is close to him, their screen will turn into static. And the more you're closer to Slenderman, the more intense the static gets. Um, Now again, you can still get an easy sneak up on survivors if they're not paying attention. But if you're going against like good players that are aware of Slenderman, then yeah, it's gonna be really hard to sneak up on them because they're gonna know you're coming anyway because of the static screen that slowly grows over time. Um, but yeah, Slenderman is still pretty busted in Recode. He's just balanced. Like he's overpowered, but he's balanced now. He's not like unhealthy. He's not like unhealthy, overpoweredly broken like he was during the Legacy era of Become the Killer. But then again, that might not really change people's opinions about him. Because even then, like, yes, even when I play a Slenderman, like, in the Legacy era, people, like, I remember, like, looking in the chat, and people are just complaining, saying that Slenderman's pay to win, and that he's not fun to go up against, or something like that. Um, I don't know again, I never really encountered any player bitching and whining about Slenderman and Recode yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there that still hate Slenderman, even if he was actually nerfed for the sake of balance. Oh yeah, I also want to talk about his ability Warp. So even though his ability Warp works pretty much the same, except it slows you down, there's actually a thing you can do with Warp ability. You can actually still kill survivors when using Warp. Yes, I know, as crazy as it sounds. Because in Legacy back, there are certain characters with availability, Slenderman included. When you use the invisible ability, you can't really attack. But in Recode, when you use the warp ability of Slenderman, you can actually attack them while you're invisible. Which is quite funny, because you could get like a... Because I actually managed to kill a couple players a couple times because I simply used the warp ability and I just slowly approached him and then boom, they killed him and they didn't even freaking realize I was approaching them. They probably did know I was approaching them because of the static thing, but they don't know I'm near them though. Um, yeah. So that's all I really gotta say about Slenderman. He is really, really overpowered. Not as bad as he was in the Legacy era, but he's still really, 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 really OP. But he is very, very balanced because one, he can't regenerate anymore, which means if you got like a whole army of like soldiers and juggernauts and all that shenanigans on him, even if he kills like a couple soldiers or so, yeah, he's bound to die eventually because he's slow. And he's even slower when you use warp. I mean, I guess warp you can kind of get away still, but because warp is still like, you know, freaking makes you very slow, like very competent like survivor teams can still take advantage of that because they might still be able to know you're around still. And you're just pretty much cooked at this point. If again that never happened to me, yes, Slenderman, but if that did, I wouldn't be surprised because yeah, he's slow, he can't regenerate. Also, Now, speaking of Slenderman not being able to regenerate anymore, there is actually a way you can get HP back as Slenderman, and that's only one thing: the Witch. Now, unlike how Witch used to be like in the Legacy era, Become the Killer, where he was just another raging state sort of killer, instead of that, in Recode, Witch is actually not a raging state killer anymore. Instead, she is a support. Yes, Witch is a support killer. She is a support for a killer. Because in Become the Killer, currently right now in Recode, there's a survivor that you can play that's called a medic. And the medic has the ability to draw a bandage, which heals survivors. Which it pretty much has the same exact ability, but instead of a bandage, it's like a potion. So technically, you can make Slenderman really overpoweredly and unfair too, again, but you just need the Witch. And considering not every player has the Witch, and not everyone really plays as the Witch, it's extremely rare to really have a scenario like that happen. But if there is a scenario where there is a Slenderman and a Witch involved, um, good luck trying to take out Slenderman, because not only is he gonna like constantly stick with the witch in hopes that she heals her, well, she heals him. Because again, Slenderman cannot regenerate, so the only way he can really get health if he finds the witch. And witch is really, really fucking strong because she actually deals a shit ton of damage. So good luck trying to take out Slenderman. Then I mean, you can still kill Slenderman, obviously, but like if the witch is sticking with Slenderman, yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to really do that, especially if a witch player is actually really good and know what they're fucking doing. Then you're gonna have a really bad time trying to kill Slenderman, or even better yet, you're gonna have a bad time killing the witch more because yes, Slenderman is gonna be trying to avoid the army of survivors so he doesn't die too quickly. Meanwhile, they're gonna be dealing with the witch because the witch is gonna be the one attacking them more. And most likely killing them more than you, if you're Slenderman. But then again, that scenario is rare. Because again, a player needs to be Witch in order for a scenario like that to even fucking happen to begin with. Now that I finished the big yapping session of 2025, now we get to the very big question. Is Slenderman pay to win? Now, I'm going to be very honest. If this was during the Legacy era still, to this very day, like, if Recode wasn't out yet and this was still Legacy Become the Killer, I would have said yes. Guarantee he would have been paid to win. But, this is Recode now. Slenderman got nerfed to the sake of balance. So, now I'm going to ask the question again. Is Slenderman paid to win? No. He is no longer paid to win. Now, again, in Legacy cakes, he would have been paid to win. But he got balanced. He can no longer regenerate, and his invisible ability got nerfed. I mean, you can attack while invisible, of course, which is cool that you can do that. But again, Slenderman got nerfed. He's balanced now. He is no longer paid to win. He is no longer paid to win. Because yes, Slenderman is still fucking S tier in my eyes. Because when utilizing Slenderman correctly, yes, he is really, really OP. But he can't regenerate. So, yeah, he's not paid to win. Because eventually, you are bound to die at some point as Slenderman. Even if you are a good Slenderman player like myself, there is a possibility that you will eventually be overcome and killed. And once again, only one person can play as Slenderman. So if you actually want to play as Slenderman and someone's already playing as him, sorry, you're going to have to play as a different killer. But you know what? I am okay with the fact that he is... I am completely okay with the say he is now. because he's actually balanced. Yes, he's overpowered, but at least he feels somewhat fair to go up against. Again, if you're going against a Slenderman player that doesn't know what they're doing, he is really easy to deal with. But if you're going against a Slenderman player that's really good, like which is of course me included, um, he is hard to deal with, but it's still possible to defeat because he can't regenerate. So, in my personal opinion, Slenderman currently is not pay to win. I'm Boo Cyber Studios, and that's it for the video. Peace.